Greetings and good afternoon, fellow targeted individuals. You may notice that the perpetrators are utilizing a lot of psychology against us, and this will stimulate the amygdala. So, using stimuli that activates this to influence decisions or reactions. The perpetrators, they utilize behavioral engineering as a weapon towards targets. Behavioral engineering is often a key component of psychological operations. And as you know, psyops is about influencing perceptions and emotions and behaviors of target audiences. And this could even be people which are targeted. Behavioral engineering provides the tools and frameworks to design interventions that shape human behavior in a predictable outcome. So, behavioral engineering is typically structured to shape behavior in a predictable way, often for positive outcomes or neutral outcomes, but sometimes for bad ones. So these perpetrators, they utilize psychology to get people to be on the same page with them. They want them to show widespread adoption of these beliefs and behaviors which are acceptable towards you. A few days ago, I experienced something really weird. I was driving on a road about 8 miles from my house, and when the sun hit the windshield, I couldn't see outside. And I was wearing these sunglasses, which are really good. They're used by welders. I'm like, something's not right here. Because I've used these glasses in Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Albuquerque, New Mexico, when it's like 106 degrees. No issues. I can be driving and the sun can be blaring and it doesn't bother me. So I got out of the car. Let me go back. Before I pulled off the road, I had to lower the window down and look out the window. And there was this petroleum-based product on my car. So I wiped it off. It took like 30 minutes. I had to continually put soap, alcohol, different chemicals to get it off the car. So prior to this happening, it happened again 2 weeks prior. And like 2 months ago, when I got this car, I had to go to the auto body repair shop 2 times in a month. And I was experiencing odd stuff by people that were doing stuff which was clearly clandestine. It was done in a very sneaky manner, and it was done to get my attention, which indicates that these perpetrators, they get paid off to do this. So when you're harassed, these people are expecting you to react, and they may try to mimic you. They may buy the same hat, same shirt, or something similar, and you could be down a 20-mile dirt road just taking pictures of birds, and they may just harass you. At one time, anytime I showed up at a gas station, they would show up and harass me. And then when I started running tags, they were always coming up as ex-military, LGBT, and Israeli, diversity and inclusion, and 8A business vendor. I was being mobbed. And when I went to police, the police chief, these people didn't want to help me. They knew I was being targeted. They just ignored me. So these cops don't really get involved in it. It's typically, from what I've experienced, this activity is outsourced. So even today, I went shopping and I had a family that walked in the store. They walked right up to me and went, "Sss." So when I ran the guy's tag, he's ex-U.S. Army. He didn't buy nothing. So these activities are based on utilizing people as pawns and utilizing many, many different people. So that way, throughout the years of this, they're hoping that one day you will react. Just walk away. Behavioral engineering, when it is based on the utilization of dark psychology, has led to bad events, because behavioral engineering can be utilized for false flags to condition people to accept certain ideals or certain acts as for the greater good of the community. Kind of like the World Trade Center attack. There was an intention behind this, and there's too many clues which point to a false flag activity. So the perpetrators, they condition people to believe they're doing this for their country, they're monitoring a bad person, they're confronting a bad person. But what they don't know is that the same acts that they're doing now, you may have experienced in prior states. If I don't know you, don't go following me around. Eventually, if you're looking for attention, you could be accommodated. That's just how I am. I walk away from threats. I don't bother people. But if you're following me, I perceive you to be a threat. That's just how I think. Maybe the average American doesn't think like that. But if I go to Dunkin' Donuts, then I go to a gas station, I go to a supermarket, then 8 hours later I have dinner at a church and you show up there, you've never been seen there before, then I go home and you pass by my house, what you're doing is you're causing me to live in a state of fear. And I have a problem with that. Because now you're not surveilling me, now you're causing me to live in a state of fear, and you're utilizing psychology. You're trying to pressure me to come after you. Because the average person, they're going to call the cops or they're going to confront that person. But what I typically do is I walk away, but I've gotten tired of doing that. I've gotten tired of going to cops and then getting false reports or redacted report. So the past couple of days, I've been confronting people like, hey man, leave me alone. I'm not bothering you. Don't bother me. But I don't threaten people. So a while back, I told a TI what I was going through. He had blew the whistle in this government agency, and we chit-chatted for a while, and I told him what was occurring towards me. And one day we exited this restaurant, and there was a guy standing right there, and he looks right at me and he goes, Psst. And I told him that this was happening every day by different people, and they have no tag. And he seen the guy had no tag. He walked to the car, and the guy with me said, hey man, stop doing what you're doing. If I was to do this to you everywhere you go, how would you feel? So after that one experience, every time my friend heard a whistle, he assumed that he could potentially be targeted. So that's what they want to do. That's not the case for me. But that is the intention of these acts based on dark psychology. These people want to gaslight you. They want to do something which is normal towards you. And I have videos where they will go into like gas stations or supermarkets. They would park next to me and then walk up to me like really close and go, then they would walk out the store. Then the next day, the same thing would happen, and it would happen right at that same exact area. Then the next day was somebody else. Then the next day was somebody else. So what I would do is, when I passed by the car, I would get the VIN number or get the tag if they weren't around. So this helps me to figure out that they were using leased vehicles. These were 8A business vendors, emergency management contractors, and partners, a variety of interagency partners. And when I seen this, I was blown away, fellow TIs, that when I had shared this information with a court subject matter expert and showed him in all the states this has occurred, more than half my life, he told me if this was happening in other cities, this would mean that a lot of these violent acts that are occurring could potentially all be engineered under the false guises of safety, community policing, and national security. Could that be the case, fellow TIs? I don't know. But it is occurring all across the United States, and non-disclosure agreements make it where not even AI can confirm the existence of many of these programs. When I go to a supermarket, it's because I want to live and stay healthy. I like buying food. When I go to a gas station, it's to put gas in my car so I can enjoy my environment and travel. But for the enemy, those are considered opportunities to harass you. Now, while my targeting has toned down dramatically, I have been targeted over half my life. And I have videos showing neighbors that are 8A business vendors, people tied to this like LGBT stuff, and people from different ethnic backgrounds. It's not just Jewish people, it's Mexicans, it's white people, even people that are of my same ethnic background. I grew up in America. This is my home. But I feel like a prisoner here, fellow TIs. I feel like I have been doing a hard time. And I hate to say this. The only benefit I get out of living here is the opportunity to leave. That's about it. I have avoided going out with family to events because I've experienced harassment over and over and over. And I've reached a point where I've been able to pinpoint some of these key partners. I have documented on video people that are ex-US Army, active duty Army, people that are clearly clandestine working at an Army base, people tied to the corporate sector, medical sector, security, industrial complex, hordes of radical feminists. I have proof of this, where you actually see on the website, it says radical feminist. And then it shows women's empowerment, government contractor. Now what the heck are bull dykes, I shouldn't say that, lesbians doing following me around? What the heck are people that are just coming to America for a year following me around for? Well, there's money involved in this. It's a business. So they put this onto other people so that way if something goes wrong, it doesn't come back to the people which were pestering you and systematically harassing you state by state. And you know what's really surprising is that I don't see it now, but at one time for a few years, I was seeing Sheriff Association members. So I contacted the Florida Sheriff's Association. They have no complaint form. They said, oh, if you have a complaint against us, go to the Better Business Bureau. So they're nothing more than a contractor. And then we have people that are going to small business centers in our local areas looking for contracts. And guess who gets targeted by these people? People which are targeted by the government. And here's what's even more sad. Let's say you're a Christian. Did you know that there are government entities that specifically turn to religious groups? I'm not hiding from nobody. When I'm driving, I'm driving with my cell phone on high location. I don't mess with people, fellow TIs, because when you mess with people, you're looking for attention. And when people are looking for attention, eventually they're going to get accommodated with the attention they seek. That's why I'm not a loud person. I don't make a lot of noise in my neighborhood. I don't play loud music. I don't try to interfere in other people's lives. I live a quiet life. I stay to myself. I don't use drugs. I don't hang out with scumbags and criminals. But it appears, fellow TIs, that a lot of this stuff based on domestic terrorism is all coming from components of the system which are tied to this deep state apparatus. Because when I look at these people that I've dealt with, I see a pattern where they look like they belong in a radical feminist group or diversity and inclusion group. And then I've dealt with people from New York City. Well, what are they doing down here? Or somebody with a Virginia tag. Or somebody with a ghost tag. It doesn't make a lot of sense. They're clearly hiding something. And why they've been pestering me, I don't know, but one of these days, I'm most likely going to find out.